Welcome back, everybody. We are now at Chapter 4.
Welcome to Chapter 4, which, as we aforementioned, is not a very eventful chapter, so I'm actually not going to roll a dice for this chapter. But instead, I am going to be in gleeful bliss as I roll the dice and not tell Andrew till Chapter 5 starts.
Oh, no.
So...
Should I be afraid? Should I be extreme? What do we have left, actually? We've done one hand, and we've done speedrun.
Mm-hmm.
So...
What will come next? Dun 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 dun.
I'm placing my bet on pacifist run.
Pacifist.
That's my bet.
Or what is actually, now that I know, what I designated as the score run.
Oh yes.
So I didn't even think about that being the pacifist run when I came up with that, but it's like, oh, that's actually a thing. So you have the path memorized through the whale.
Oh yeah. But if you don't speak to him first, the lighter won't appear. So you'll go all that way, and then what you have to find won't be there. You'll have to go all the way back and speak to him, and then do it again. And I can speak to this from experience, obviously.
Jeez. Really? Is there anything in here to find other than the lighter?
There's actually not. It's just a billion dead ends, which, like, again, if it's... I have, like, memories of playing as a kid. I don't know if it was my first time ever playing it, but it's very confusing if you don't actually know where you're going. The main idea, though, is to stay in the submarine for as long as you possibly can. If you see, like, a path where you could potentially get out on, like right there, don't do it, because there's still more to do with the submarine. So that's the main thing you gotta remember.
Okay, so just if you stay in your submarine, you'll be good. That's the advice from Andrew here. Okay. All the twists and turns and...
Yeah, otherwise this is kind of one of two parts of the game where exploring in the submarine is really kind of a major thing. And I mean, I like it. I like the idea of just exploring the overworld. Also, like, that's such a cheap trick right there. Who's ever gonna find that out? And Wind Waker has always been my favorite Legend of Zelda game, maybe because it brings back memories of just how much fun I had exploring with the submarine in StarTropics, especially you'll see in Chapter 6. It really gives you kind of a Wind Waker feel if you've played Wind Waker and then you play Chapter 6 of StarTropics afterwards. They're just kind of exploring islands, not really knowing what's out there in the ocean, kind of like in real life, and you just never know what you're going to discover. And I really, really, really like that, but so many people are like, oh, the boat parts of Wind Waker were so boring. I just want to, hack up enemies and stuff. And I mean, I guess different people like Zelda for different things. The exploration portion of Zelda is definitely my favorite, whether it's the ocean or whether it's Hyrule Field. I just love, finding items and all that jazz. But there you go. Chapter 4 is done.
Okay, so you want to know what you got for Chapter 5?
Well, I mean, it's somewhat done. Like, we still have to enter the super secret code from the instruction booklet.
All right, so here's everybody. Go grab your letter that if you rented the game you didn't have, and dip it into the water. One thing I do like, though, is in the virtual releases of StarTropics, they have the virtual letter to dip into the water, and it's just so brilliant. You still have the... I think you in the Let's Play even showed off the letter. So.
Yeah, very poor quality back then. Oh, I pressing A button so fast that we didn't even do it. I like how if you get the thing wrong, it specifically points out that you need to look in the instruction book for the letter. Do you remember what the code is, Miles Luigi?
No.
No?
No.
7...
Oh, 747?
There you go.
Okay. You were there long enough, though. Okay. All right. Well done.
All right, there you go. Chapter 4 officially done.
Rob lets you go through to Chapter 5. You got a 6. No challenges. Congratulations.
No, well, that would have been perfect. No, I wanted to save that one for later. Chapter 5's not that bad. Chapter 6 or 8. Or no, well, 8's not even that. Wait, actually, we're doing this wrong. No. Well, I guess we have no challenges for probably if you don't include Chapter 1 or Chapter 4, it's probably the second easiest chapter. Oh.
Are you saying you want me to roll again?
No, I'm not gonna break the game by doing that. But
I got a 5. I'm joking.
A 5. Hey, we're only doing each one once.
I just keep rolling the dice. You have to keep changing what you're doing. Oh, geez, that would be something. Oh, but yeah, so much of StarTropics that I never got to see, because I couldn't get past Chapter 3, but that was totally a thing of video games back in the day, is there was no expectation of you beating the game. If anything, beating the game was a huge triumph that you managed to be able to do that. The expectation was you wouldn't do that, actually. Part of that came from the arcade culture, where you'd put a quarter in a game, maybe another quarter, get through a level or two. When you start getting good at the game, start getting further on, but then you would always go all the way to the back after you get a game over.
Mm-hmm. Also, the more challenging a game was, the more likely you were to A, subscribe to Nintendo Power, B, buy a strategy guide, and C, call their helpline for like $2 a minute. So there was actually incentive to make games difficult back then. And then today, like, people don't want difficult games. They can just look up on the internet how to beat them, so everything's made easy because there's no incentive.
There was a video I saw, kind of a documentary on what working at Nintendo Power was like during that time period, and how everyone, like with their video game binder, that binder was essentially just put together by people to share with everybody else to help them out, and just, it was very ad hoc, but it was just so, I guess, enchanting. I would have loved to work at that service desk, because I used to work on a service desk, but it's like for idiots who don't know how to use a computer, not people trying to get through video games.
I would love to receive calls from people trying to beat NES games. That would be awesome.
Take calls from people trying to get through StarTropics, and they go, "Help, I'm stuck in the graveyard."
Did you listen to the calls that they, when the NES Classic came out, you could call the Nintendo hotline and hear memories of from Nintendo Service Desk people, or Nintendo Powerline people who were called, and they shared stories about people calling in, and one of them was about people would call in for StarTropics, and he would just say 747, and they'd be, "How did you know?" Yeah,
wow.
People have put it up on YouTube. You have to go listen. It's actually really funny.
I'm trying to think if that was part of the documentary or not, but the fact that I don't remember that, I think I'm gonna have to look this up now. And that's clever. So, but I guess there was no more profit motive to be made about having a service desk for video games now that the internet's a thing. It's unfortunately a thing the internet has stolen from all of us. Good tech support.
Darn internet ruining everything. What good has it ever done for anyone?
Oh boy.
But yeah, I have so many fond memories. I mean, video games were just so much more magical back then, because you did have, like, it was an entire thing. It wasn't just you played the game. I mean, there was Nintendo Power. There was just, I just loved growing up with the NES. And I feel so bad for people who don't grow up with the NES. I mean, I'm sure that people are very happy growing up with, like, the Xbox One and PS4, but I just can't imagine not having so many fantastic memories just growing up with, the beginning of Nintendo, really. I mean, of course, there was things before the NES from Nintendo, but the NES really is what started it all, I think.
Nintendo really, I guess, did a fantastic job with what was essentially the monopoly they had for all the 5 big years of the NES, the 85 to around 90, 91. And I mean, games still came out for the NES all the way up to, what, 94, 95?
Yep,
I think that's actually StarTropics 2.
Was the second last NES game ever released in 94. Only being beat by Wario Woods.
Wario Woods. And I mean, technically there are people who have made homebrew NES games since then, but I guess that's the last official release, in quotes. So.
Yeah, I would have very much appreciated the, not the no-hit run, but like the 3-hit run for this level. This level's not very hard. I would have greatly appreciated that. And yes, I know I am missing hearts. I am not worried about hearts.
Who needs hearts when you can dodge everything?
But see, that's what I'm saying. A lot of enemies in this game have very simple attack patterns. So if you get those down, you should take very, very, very little damage. Except in situations where, again, enemies shoot at you, and sometimes, like, you don't have very, a large, like, amount of area to move. And then in those situations, yeah, you're going to take some hits. But in, like, big open rooms, actually, I mean, maybe the 3 hits thing wasn't so good. Sometimes these arrows can be a really big jerk, and sometimes you can be, like, holding left and you won't get hit. And other times you'll be holding left and you will get hit, even though you did the exact same thing. So arrows kind of suck, but also these guys kind of suck too.
Oh. I was about to ask, how about all the rooms where all the stakes come out of the ground and try to poke you?
Yeah, the end of this chapter, then again, I think, it's easy to make a couple mistakes at the end. So maybe I should be happy that we didn't get the whole thing. There, so you do that. Go to the bottom right one. And then you go up. No rule against not killing you, so I might as well. And you. Although I have been doing it pretty much pacifist until that point.
Well done.
Of course, the most iconic part about this level is the bowling balls coming
The
up.
big bowling ball of doom. It's one hit kill.
And I still have not had the shooting star. Or, yeah, the shooting star. We've only had the yo-yo, so I'm technically incorporating a yo-yo only run into this level anyway.
Oh, there you go. Oh boy, but yeah, I always found it entertaining that, you know, you're just going through, I guess, what is supposed to be a dungeon in an island, and there's just a big bowling ball. And I mean, I guess technically it's supposed to be like a big Indiana Jones, like, rolling ball, but it rolls back and forth.
It's such a silly idea for, like, I mean, I call it a boss because it plays the boss music when you fight it. But
Yeah, it does. But you don't see Indiana Jones running back and forth, hiding into holes, running away from the boulder.
That's correct.
That would make a scene. Hide from the boulder, Indy.
So here's another kind of area where you can easily get lost. It's kind of a maze. It's actually a really big jerk move because it's really not obvious at all what you're supposed to do. We just picked up the Rod of Sight again. You might remember that from Chapter 3.
More ghosts?
And that will be very important coming up.
Ooh. This place is haunted. Which actually, if I remember this part of the game right, you're actually trying to clear a blockage in the current island at the moment.
Yeah, we have to sink the boat. The whole thing is that this is supposed to be Captain Bell's tunnel, and he set up all these traps to stop people from sinking his boat and getting through the strait. But you know, who cares? That was in like the 1600s or something. He's out of touch.
Oh dear me.
This is the room where I'm definitely going to take my first hit. Ugh. Oh, I timed it right. Heck yeah. Oh, then here's the room where if you just kill if you hit the blocks, you'll continue to the right, and you'll end up eventually looping back around to one of the rooms we were in earlier. But you have to use the Rod of Sight in this room to kill this dude, which opens up a secret passageway. Oh man.
Secret in quotes.
Secret in quotes. Well, I mean, it's required, so.
That's why I said secret in quotes.
You have to time those guys well, or else you'll easily take way too much damage. Okay. And now here's the stakes coming out of the floor. Ha 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 ha.
Well done. Oop, oop, oop.
Okay, I wasn't trying to get the hearts, but it kind of forced me to go down there, so that's kind of a thing that happened. Also, those hearts, you can't actually avoid them.
This bowling ball is a jerk.
Okay. Now, it's actually kind of a funny coincidence that I ended up getting the shooting star at this point. Trying to stop the bowling ball with the yo-yo, which only has a 2-tile reach, is very, very, very difficult. So, I greatly appreciate having the shooting star at this point. Alright. Let's run for it, man. Okay. One more room. Let's do it.
Right.
Okay, actually, get somewhere where I can actually hit you. That'd be nice. There we go. Whoops, almost screwed that. There we go. And you realize what we just did, Miles Luigi?
What did you just do?
Damageless level run.
Oh!
Did not take a single hit that whole level.
Nicely done. Another round of applause.
Hooray! Thank you very much.
You just inadvertently did the pain run.
Darn it, see? I told you I wanted it for this level. I told you. Oh.
Alright.
Darn it, that was like the one. This was like the one chapter I didn't want to get nothing for. The 6. It only gets worse from here. Darn it.
Down goes the ship. Alright, well, now that the ship is down, if you don't mind, just one more quick break for good reason, and then we'll roll the dice, get to the next chapter.
Absolutely, sounds good.